Not know me, I'm Leslie Murphy. I'm one of the co-owners of Hive 180. I am going to be kind of switching back and forth here between a slideshow that I've put together just kind of to assist with our talk here tonight, and then just kind of addressing the group. And then I would love to kind of answer any specific individual questions for people who might have those later. So just to give you a quick overview on us, Hive 180 is based here in Steamboat. We are a full service marketing and advertising firm. So we specialize in a couple core areas of services. I would say web design and web development is probably the core basis for what we do. And then a lot of the other services kind of stem off of that. So whether it's video production or professional marketing photography, that certainly can be used in digital marketing, and we'll talk about those more in depth this evening. That can also be used on websites. And then, of course, branding, from positioning your company, logo development and graphic design for all types of components of marketing. So that, I just wanted to give you like that quick sort of overview on who we are if you're not familiar. So tonight's talk, you are here for how to pivot your marketing during the pandemic. The four main areas that I will address are maximizing your digital presence, creating a dialogue through social media, is e-commerce right for me, and then how to grow your audience during these uncertain times. So digital marketing, you know, I'm not trying to say that you don't know what it is, but I have definitely had clients say, I'm not even clear really what digital marketing is. So just to make sure we're all on the same page, digital marketing literally encompasses any marketing efforts that you do using an electronic device or the internet. So be it social media or direct emails or being listed on directory websites or blogging or search engines, essentially anything that you do digitally is considered digital marketing. So the benefits of digital marketing can go on forever, but I just wanted to kind of highlight a couple of reasons why digital marketing is such a critical piece of communication, especially during the current social climate where we're all living. So you can target only the prospects most likely to purchase your product or service. I will delve a lot more into that as I go through the presentation. It's way more cost effective than traditional marketing methods. So for example, let's say you chose to run an ad in a print publication. Certainly you could hone in on the readership of that publication and its distribution and say, okay, I basically want people that are this type of readership. But with digital marketing, you can really, really go deep into demographic, geographic information, right down to people's hobbies. You can basically follow them around the internet and see where they've been, as we all know from doing a one-time search for those shoes you've been looking for, and then all over all of your social media, you see ads for those shoes, and you're like, how do they know? So we'll go into a little bit about how that works in a little while as well. So digital marketing really, I think, as a small player, gives you the ability to outrank some of the larger competitors in your industry because you can hone in so specifically. And then ultimately, the results are incredibly measurable. So there are a ton of ways to analyze the data that is out there and ensure that you're being really specific with your efforts. So no presentation would be complete without statistics. I won't go super deep. I could talk like hours on end about statistics, but just specific to what's happening right now with the pandemic and internet use. Clearly streaming, people, the amount of content that Americans stream in just one day, April 4th happens to be the day that this piece of statistic was built, was 50,000 years condensed into one day if you added up all the people that were online that day. Streaming services like Netflix, Disney, and Peloton are experiencing tremendous growth. Social media, businesses from Google Meet and Teams and Zoom. And if we all could have just, invested in Zoom stock, who would have thought? Slack, and then of course, gaming and using cloud services. Again, the whole premise of sort of showing you some of these statistics is just to drive home the point that all of the things that we're going to talk about are really based on data, and we're not just guessing, nor do we need to. So the way the internet functions, it gives us all the information we need to really highly succeed. So this chart I just thought was interesting because it just shows the growth over time of who's using social media. And whether we're looking at age, whether we're looking at race or gender or income or education or rural versus urban versus suburban, we see the same pattern, that these lines are just growing and growing and growing over time, which really drives home the point that if you're not using digital marketing as a tool for your business, especially now, then you're just missing, the opportunities that are really available to us as marketers. And then this was just a chart, again, showing domestic figures on everyone from men to women to all the different age groups and all of the different ethnicities and education levels, and rural, urban, suburban are using the internet for everything from a workout to a party to getting together with friends or live streaming an event. So there are a myriad of ways that you can utilize digital marketing to forge ahead and continue to operate, under the guise of the new normal. So just a couple more quick stats, and then we'll get into some more fun stuff. So according to Influencer Marketing Hub, 62% of US consumers said they shop online now more than they did before the pandemic. 69% of marketers surveyed said they will only attend virtual or online events until there's clearly a safe vaccine. I mean, I think that's pretty, predictable there. More consumers will shop online from now on. I think that this has been a critical time for people who maybe never utilized the internet or some of these digital tools that now that they've learned it are like, oh, I might never go back to the old way. So as a result, 25% of consumers have started shopping with a retailer they've never used before. So, gathering new customers during this time. We already did this slide. Okay. Okay, so social media, again, just touching on the millions of people that use Facebook. People keep saying, oh, Facebook's not going to be as popular, or some of these other platforms are growing. Well, Facebook continues to be the main social media platform where people are spending their time, followed by YouTube. We've seen that trend continuously, and it's only proving to be true again during COVID. So we'll talk about utilizing those platforms. How do we create a dialogue through social media? So now that we've gone through all of the stats and the data proving that it is an area that we cannot ignore, how do we create a dialogue through social media? So it might sound simple, but really the first step is just defining your goals. What do I want to accomplish? Do I want to increase sales? Do I want, I had thought maybe that Betsy from Chill Angel was going to come. And so some of the things I was going to point out directly to her, because I know she has an e-commerce business, but if increasing sales is your goal, you're going to create a dialogue a little bit differently than if you want to build followers. So potentially, like for the campus, Randy was just telling me when we were chit-chatting before the call, that the Steamboat campus of CMC is definitely looking to up their game with their digital platform. So I would say that building followers may be your goal for that, just so that you are creating an ongoing dialogue through new followers, be it students or their families or new prospective students. So you always want to identify your target audience and that demographic information and patterns about who you're speaking to, so you can speak in their voice. If we're on, for example, LinkedIn, we're going to take a much different tone in creating a dialogue for our business than if we're on Instagram. And often both of those platforms are relevant for the same business, but you just want to hone your content a little bit differently. So longer form, business-based content would be really appropriate for LinkedIn, whereas Instagram is obviously very photo-driven and has more of a social appeal. So I'm even working with a new company out of New York City that is an environmental consultant. They go into industrial and commercial complexes and they consult on if they have mold. I mean, it's like a super unsexy topic, but on Instagram, we're doing really cool graphics and really, image-driven ways that they can, interact with their potential customers. And then on LinkedIn, we're doing more really, data-driven articles and news-based content. So next, you're going to want to, after you say, what is my goal and who's my audience, you want to establish a budget. I'm going to show you some examples of how fluid that budget can be and how you can even test the waters with spending just a little bit, see what kind of return on investment you get, and then based on that ROI, change your budget. You should always consider a balance of paid and free. So posts versus ads. And I will show you a little bit of how that works in a moment. And then also boosted posts. So the posts are what you see in everybody's feed every day, whether they're making a comment or, posting an article or a photograph. And then ads are noted as sponsored, and those are directly paid for only to a very specified audience. A boosted post is where you take a natural organic post that you've posted and you say, wow, I'm getting a lot of interaction with this post. I want to get it in front of even more people. So I'm going to boost it. So again, I will go a little bit more in depth on that. Always make sure you're optimizing for mobile. So 70% of digital consumption in the United States is on mobile devices. So we really want to ensure always that you're not doing a super horizontal photo that will be chopped off on a mobile feed. And so nowadays, when you do post on Facebook, you can also post directly to Instagram. Those two have the same owner, so you can manage them both through that interface, but you can view through all of the different ways that your post will feed. So when you're scheduling a post, you can click view on Instagram, view on mobile to ensure that you are optimizing for mobile. I highly recommend, if you're not sure, that you can, even Google what size should a Facebook post be or what size should an Instagram post be. And that way you can ensure that you are creating something that is the proper size to fit. Okay, so, and then evolve based upon analytics. It's free information. And so the term retarget, retargeting to those that are engaging, is kind of what I was talking about before when I made the joke about I shop for shoes and then I see those ads all over. Sometimes if people click on an ad or get involved with your posts, there's ways to retarget them. So for example, there is a way on Facebook, let's say you posted a video and there were people who, maybe it was a 30-second video and people watched 15 seconds of it. You could then retarget either a different post or a different ad to people who watched one of your videos for 3 seconds or more. And there's ways to retarget. So there's this wealth of information available so that we can ensure that we're creating a dialogue with people who want to hear what we have to say. Okay, so audience growth. We want to utilize all of the data available from the targeted digital advertising. This is where we're going to get into the fun stuff. I'm going to show you an example of Book Trails. Book Trails is a local nonprofit. They are a literacy adventure camp that's based here in Steamboat. They have some land up by Steamboat Lake, and kids go to camp for either day camp or overnight camp, and they read a certain theme of books, and then they act out the adventures. So for downriver, they go river rafting, or they learn how to forage in the woods, if that's what the character from the book does. So we've done some marketing for them. And this is their ad center. So I am just in Facebook. on their Book Trails page and just on Ad Center. This will show you just, you can change this to look at your last 7 days, 30 days, 60 days, how much reach, how many post engagements, how many link clicks we've gotten. We did an ad here, I will just show you, like, this was a boosted post. They had one of those gondola cars that were donated by the resort, and they held on to it a lot longer than some of the other nonprofits, and they wanted to sell it. And so we did this post that said, bid now. So we showed it kind of from somebody's deck who happens to own one. And we said, Book Trails is selling one of the last remaining gondola cars at auction. Own a cherished piece of Steamboat Resort history. Now, I tagged Steamboat Resort here. And the way you do that is you just put the @ sign, and then you start typing the name of the other business, and it will autofill for you so you can include that secondary business. So then that gave them the opportunity to also share the post. So resort ski history while supporting a Colorado nonprofit. And then I put the bid website on there as well. And so this started as a post, and then we decided to boost the post so it would get out in front of more people. We ended up reaching 21,000 people with 3,000 direct engagements, and we only paid 3 cents an engagement. So we had people that interacted with the post, people that posted reactions, people that clicked or shared, and we spent $100 over 20 days. So that was really a really low cost way to get in front of people. Now I'm going to show you that for this, we chose United States. We chose California, Colorado, New York, and Texas, and anyone 18 to 65. So that was pretty broad. The reason we honed in on those 4 states is that we determined that those are the states that have a lot of involvement with Steamboat and who would maybe potentially want to own a Steamboat gondola. I will show you, let's see here. Audiences, I just wanted to show you really quickly, and I have a zillion different companies that I do this for, so you might see some other stuff for other random clients in here, but I wanted to show you, like, for example, when Book Trails was looking for interns for the summer, we said, okay, what do we think that person will look like? And we said, well, they're age 18 to 25, whatever the gender, that's great. We chose a bunch of core cities that we have had success with. So from, outdoorsy communities or college towns. So you can see here, we have everywhere from Boulder to Bozeman to Portland, Maine. And then we said we want people that are in college for their education level. Interests include backpacking or rafting or teaching or camping. And then it gave us a potential audience of 620,000. So then that is who we advertised our internship jobs to. And so I could just do like a 3-hour talk on this, and I'm not going to go too deep. If somebody has a specific question that I can support you on specific to your business after this call, I mean, anyone from here is more than welcome to contact me directly, and I'd be more than happy to give you advice. But I just wanted to give you a little peek view into how manageable the Facebook interface is. Once you get into creating ads, you can choose Instagram, you can choose Facebook, or both. And it really, really is a great way to sort of self-manage, and you can spend, $5 or $100 and really kind of test the waters there. So next on the list, I just want to talk about kind of the easiest free thing that I see clients overlook all the time is your Google My Business. So part of marketing during COVID is recognizing that if people find you on the internet, you want to have the correct information out there. So this is just a Google search for marketing firms in Steamboat. And the box of results that come up under that map are fed from Google My Business. So once you click on that, you're going to go into our specific listing. And as you can see, I've circled that and pointed the arrow to where it says own this business. So a lot of times Google will autofill content for businesses in different towns and nobody ever claims it. So that is just a great free way to claim your business. You can put in photos or a logo or your hours or solicit reviews if you want to. And again, I just think that it's a really quick way. If you Google your own business's name, you can see all the places you're listed out there, and anywhere that there's a free review, you can absolutely claim it and, make sure that you're putting consistent information out there. This will come up a couple times during our talk, but really making sure that during COVID that you are, it's called omni-channel communication. So making sure that across all channels, you're delivering consistent information to your potential customers. So if you have a business that, you're offering services, nationwide or even just locally, you don't want Facebook to say one thing about your hours and then Google to say a different thing about your hours and then your website to say something different. Or, I've been trying really hard to order takeout and support local restaurants. And sometimes their Facebook page says we're doing delivery, but their website only says we're closed and doesn't say about delivery. And so just having that consistency is something that we can all do during the pandemic to just, ensure that any potential customer that's out there who wants to do business with us is getting consistent information. So next on the list is loyalty programs and giveaways. Now, keep in mind, I had no idea sort of the breadth of business owners that would be attending this call or, what types of businesses you all have. So if you do have a business and you're looking for a clever idea or whatever, we definitely help our clients come up with different ways to work on some of these. So sometimes I'm using larger company examples, but I just wanted to talk you through kind of the premise of loyalty programs and giveaways, and what people are looking for within those. So authenticity is key. Consumers are savvy and they can smell it a mile away if you're just trying to sell them on something and you're not being authentic. Contribution over conversion. When I show you a couple of these examples that really stood out for me, you'll see that where companies are really thriving right now during COVID is by showing what they're contributing. So, even locally, like just the incredible way that like Rex Bryce is treating his employees and the way he's working so hard to ensure, that things are affordable makes you want to order takeout from there over somewhere else. Or I just saw something on Facebook today that, one of the local real estate offices put like a 50-gallon drum of hand sanitizer with a pump outside their office and said, anybody who needs hand sanitizer, come fill up. And so that's contribution over conversion. It certainly helps their brand because it's free promotion and everybody's sharing the heck out of that post. But you're really, looking about how you can contribute over how you can convert a sale. Remaining optimistic without overpromising. So obviously, like specific to Angie, maybe like trying to set up people's expectations that you're a wedding planner, like, yay, they want to come to Steamboat. They want to plan a wedding. I love the way you've pivoted your business to have an elopement package. And Angie's done a great job just figuring out how she could pivot her business during the pandemic to still offer, love never dies. People still want to get married and they still want to come here. So she's done a beautiful elopement package where, it can just be a very small number of people or just the couple. And she has like a turnkey way they can still get married here. And then she can quickly pivot, should things open up. So kudos for that. We talked a little bit about the flexibility through omni-channel experiences. We talked about having consistency in what you're communicating, and then also, be it return policies or cancellation policies or those types of things are really going to earn loyalty from consumers right now. And so now I want to get into a couple sort of really, really fun things. So Tom's Shoes, I just think is one of the most exceptional companies out there and what they're doing during COVID. So they are just donating millions and millions of dollars, basically a third of their profit. So I'm going to play you a little quick snippet from Tom's here. First of all, you can sign up. One of the things we're going to talk about is the electronic newsletters. And here what they're doing is they're capturing by doing a giveaway. So by entering your email address and joining their list, you could potentially win a free pair of shoes. So that's awesome. And I'm just going to play you this short snippet here.
At Tom's, we've always been in business to improve lives. In the beginning, we give $1 away.
Each year, we set aside at least a third of our profits.
And then we give. Guided by our very own giving team, our partners,
and the causes you care most about. We give to organizations that make us feel safe.
Make us feel well.
make us feel equal.
Because our vision of a better tomorrow
Is one where humanity thrives. And with every purchase, you help bring us that much closer.
So on the topic of that piece right there, I mean, I just think it's important for us to remember as small businesses that these larger businesses really are inspirational to us. The same way in business, maybe you have a mentor that you look up to and you say, oh, I want to be like that person one day. I think you can have businesses that you look at as your business model mentor as well. And just because they are a multi-million-dollar company, they didn't start that way. And that's, in these trying times, I think remembering sort of the basis of how you want to operate and putting that message out to your customers will just help you continue to grow and build those forging relationships. So at one point, Tom's, had to sell their first pair of shoes before they sold, millions of pairs of shoes. And so, so that's why sometimes I think just looking to larger companies for inspiration is really appropriate. So anyway, let's see our next example here. So Starbucks, I just think, is an exceptional example of how to run a loyalty program. And the reason why is because it's so diverse. So you can get free coffees, or you can get free gear, you can earn like a new mug, you can get coffee to go, or they give you fun freebies along the way, and they just make it fun and really easy to interact in order to be in their loyalty program. So that's a good example of that. And then here's bringing it on home a little bit. So like Big Agnes did this. And again, you don't have to be a big company with a huge budget to do, this sort of social engagement and audience growth. Again, remember that we're talking about how to grow your social audience. And so Big Agnes did Camp Out, Sleep In, and all they did was give away one sleeping bag. But they say if you hashtag Camp Out, Sleep In, and take a selfie camping, they don't even say that you have to be in a Big Agnes sleeping bag. You just have to tag them. So if you go now to search that hashtag, the hashtag Camp Out Sleep In, here's examples of all these people who, posted themselves on their own pages and got likes and interactions and now entered to win this sleeping bag. So, just fun, clever ways to get people talking about your product without actually selling direct is how we build engagement through social. Next on the list is micro influencers. So this is a huge trend that I think is super, super important regardless of your industry. So a micro influencer is someone who has anywhere between 10,000 and 100,000 followers. So, once you get over 100,000, you just become a macro influencer. But basically, influencers are a way to get your product out there and in front of people in your relevant demographic without marketing to them directly. So one example here would be, this gal is a plus size model, and Forever 21 gave her clothes, used her as a micro influencer, and she is a fashion blogger and talked about how awesome their clothes are to her entire audience. And then another example of that would be Tom's of Maine did a whole campaign with their natural products using super fans. So they used, families and different people who would use, it's like product placement of days of old, right? Like you used to be like, how do I get a movie star to drink, a Budweiser in this scene, in this movie? And it used to cost, tens of thousands of dollars. But nowadays, like the internet, again, back to my earlier point that digital marketing is making it more of an easier, level playing field for smaller entities. So partnering with micro influencers is a great way to get your products out there. So listening to your followers, surveys, reviews, social interactions. If you have a social page and people are posting on it, please respond to them or pay somebody else to do it. Write them back, like what they said. If people are filling out reviews, respond to the review, be it positive or negative, Send out surveys. We just did a survey today for book trails saying, hey, families, thanks for sticking with us through 2020. And, we're already planning camps for 2021. What books might your child like to see on the roster for 2021 camp? People are going to feel a vested interest if we choose their book. And, we want to hear what they have to say. So what does your audience or community have right now that you could fulfill is also a need, again, bringing it back to the topic of how to market during a pandemic. So, what need do they have that you could fulfill? And then how have their needs changed during this time? How does that change impact your options? I'm going to show you some examples of these. So identifying ways you can pivot your products or services to meet your customer needs. And then if you already have an email list, certainly communicating with those people to let them know how you're pivoting and what you're up to. So be it like, hey, I'm a restaurant and now I'm delivering, or now I'm selling groceries, or hey, I'm a wedding planner and now I'm doing elopements, or hey, for us, well, I'm going to get to that in a minute, but like we've been seeing a huge uptick in video, and we're going to talk about that in a moment, but we've really been letting people know that that's a service that we offer. So back to the ways to pivot your marketing. So I just thought this was a cool post. Rumple, they're outdoor blankets, but they are pivoting here and showing, here's blankets. They're really for everywhere. So they use strong professional photography. They're, approaching a new angle on using outdoor gear at home. They have a call to action right there on their ad that says shop now, and then the ability to retarget because it is a sponsored ad. So it's on Facebook. And then anybody who might even click shop now and go to their website, all of a sudden has now been tracked and they can retarget to that person. Here's another example that I thought was really cool. So Anheuser-Busch, a long history of supporting our communities and employees. So they made hand sanitizer, basically. This shows their ability to be empathetic. It offers a necessary service and product that their community of clients need. And then they made a huge profit off of sales. Everyone was like, oh, Budweiser hand sanitizer, cool. And really they're building brand loyalty for post-pandemic sales by doing that kind of thing. I thought this was a clever way to market a hot tub. So stay in, stay healthy. It's a subtle way to sell hot tubs, acknowledging the changing times and inspiring people like, oh, wow. I mean, I know there's been tons of data on RV and camper sales, and even like bicycles and outdoor gear is off the hook. So I'm sure hot tubs are seeing that same type of growth with people being home more. And then looping it back to a local business here in town, Wanderlust is a local boutique that's on Lincoln, owned by Tamara Moore, who's a local here again. So she started sewing masks It's been a huge profit center for her during these times. I think it's very fashion forward and in line with her brand. She has like Swarovski crystal studded masks for the holidays. She is selling masks to shoppers, not only that are entering the store without one, but she's gotten new customers all over who have bought them online on her website. And now I think that those people will be in her email list and could potentially convert to ongoing customers post-COVID. So she sits there behind her sewing machine all day, just sewing, and people appreciate it, and they see her working hard and they want to buy a mask from her. I would be remiss in doing this talk and not at least touching on web development, of course. So the basis for all of this digital marketing, and if you had to have only one tool to market your business in today's day and age, having a website is critical. And of course, all of the traffic that we're drawing on through the digital marketing is going back to your website. So one of the topics we touched on, and I'll kind of cruise through this fast. I don't know that we have any e-commerce people on the call, but who knows? So e-commerce, is it right for me? So a couple of the main questions I really discuss with my clients here is, can you maintain inventory and handle fulfillment? So especially during these critical times, these are the times that make or break your relationships with your potential customers. So if you are selling something online, make sure that you can deliver what you offer. So if you cannot maintain inventory, or you can't handle fulfillment, or you can't compete with, you don't have to be Amazon and get it there tomorrow, but if you can't deliver by when you say you will, then maybe e-commerce isn't the best fit for you. And that's okay, because anything worth doing is worth doing right, especially during these times where people are really, looking to develop trust. Do you want to invest the time to maintain? So I have one client who is an artisan and does beautiful handmade pottery. And, she was all gung-ho to do an e-commerce website until she realized that she would have to take the one item and pack it securely and ship it to wherever the person was. And when she realized all the time it would take to upkeep her e-commerce shop and take her away from making pottery, she decided maybe that wasn't the best angle for her business. I think that e-commerce is great when you have maybe an item that you have multiple of. And she's like, I don't want to make the same one bowl 50 times. I want to, do one-offs. So we are helping her kind of decide if that's a good pivot for her or not. And then, is there an ongoing need for what you're considering selling? So I'm not going to go too deep into this, but there are a bunch of different solutions, be it WordPress, Squarespace, Shopify, a bunch of different platforms based on your goals, how many products, how many variables per product, and all of that. So we do support clients with developing e-commerce solutions based on those different goals. So e-newsletter services. So electronic newsletters are a great way to communicate with your customers during pandemic and otherwise. Specific to e-commerce, you can integrate for ongoing engagement. So abandoned carts and other automations are a really key tool in newsletter communication. Retargeting, so new products or after purchase surveys, doing automations like, hey, you bought this. And then, 10 days later, you can set up an automation where anytime anyone ever buys a product, 10 days later, they get this survey or, a request for a review. And then, of course, you can use newsletter communications to offer discounts and build rewards programs. So MailChimp, Constant Contact, ActiveCampaign, again, there's a plethora of platforms available. And I would say, depending upon your goals and if you're integrating with e-commerce or not, is how you can choose them. Many of them are super useful. I personally love MailChimp and use that the most. I can't have a presentation without talking about photography. So I would just like to say that professional photography, if you're someone who's offering professional services of any kind whatsoever, that doing professional photography to support your business is key. If you're using, homemade photos, I think that definitely denigrates the quality of your own work. So, doing everything as polished as possible, I think, is important as always. So I'm going to roll into the video conversation really quick and why video is so critical, especially right now while everyone is on the computer nonstop. Video adds credibility and builds trust. Google just loves video. It speaks to mobile users in a really impactful way. It explains everything and encourages social shares. So I am going to play some examples of what I think are really critical videos for the COVID specific marketing time. Oops, sorry. What happened? I thought that was a clever way to, joke around with what's going on, pivot the message quickly, ensure people are engaging with the brand and understanding, showing that they really understand. So quickly, 80% of consumers engaged with more digital content since COVID than they did before. So video is something that's not going away, regardless of the pandemic. So by 2022, 82% of all content created will be video. So, if you're not on the video bandwagon yet, for whatever business you're in, it's time to consider how you can utilize it. So 66% of businesses have used video to communicate during the pandemic, and video generates 12 times more shares than text and images combined. More than 6 in 10 expect their usage of YouTube to increase. And content can be on topics like working from home, telecommuting, stress reduction, fitness, cooking, and studying. Those have increased significantly. So there are just so many clever ways that you can talk about things that are specific to your industry without directly selling your product or service that will then deem you an expert on that field. Video search results have a 41% higher click rate than non-video.
Yo soy tu hogar. Y voy a estar para ti, aguantando todo lo que venga.
So again, playing on, understanding what people are going through. So, that was IKEA, but really they never said, sorry, I got too click happy. They never said buy furniture. They said, we understand how precious your home is. And by them understanding that, somehow now they've communicated with you. So things to consider when you're doing videos. What platform you're using can dictate how long the video should be. So if you're doing it as an ad or a teaser, something short on social, maybe 15 seconds, do you need actors, or can you, get some of your friends to be in it, or are you going to do it for yourself? Do you need music and motion graphics? What kind of script are you going to use? Do you want to hire someone to do a voiceover for you? There are third-party footage snippets available. So if you want to have fireworks in your video, certainly you don't have to stage fireworks. You can find third-party footage. And then platforms like YouTube and Vimeo offer different abilities to share videos depending upon your goals. So like Vimeo is does great lockdown hosting. So like we have a client who does courses online that we don't want people to find who haven't paid for the course. So, you know, depending on those types of criteria, you may choose different platforms to host.
Guinness has been around for 260 years, and we've been lucky to be a part of your St. Patrick's Day for generations. While we know this year things feel different, we've learned over time that we're pretty tough when we stick together. So what do you really need for some St. Paddy's Day cheer? A pint? Sure, we'll take one. Some corn... St. Patrick's Day, we're all Irish. But let's not forget that every day we're all human. What matters is being with people you care about. Whether you're planning to safely celebrate at the pub or hosting at home, if you can call the people around you, friends or family, you've already won. When you raise a pint of Guinness, also remember to raise each other. Be good to one another. Celebrate safely. Thank the ones protecting us. And now or later, don't forget to stop in and say hi to all our friends in the pubs and bars. As for us, we signed a 9,000-year lease on our brewery a while back, so we're not going anywhere. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
I thought they did a great job, you know, of just giving back and honoring, you know, what's happening during COVID. So, okay, one more, and then we will start to wrap up. But I just thought this one was amazing and very specific to tourism, which of course hits close to home with hotels and travel.
All alone, I'm so all alone. There is no one else but you. All alone by the telephone, waiting for a ring, a ting-a-ling. I'm all alone every evening, all alone, feeling blue, wondering where you are and how you are, and if you are all alone too. Telephone, waiting for a ring, a ting-a-ling. I'm all alone every evening, all alone, feeling blue, wondering where you are and how you are, and if you are all alone too. If you are all alone too.
So what I loved the most about that last video, the bellhop one, is that they just gave us an entire tour of their property without ever saying, take a tour of our hotel, which would have been so dry and boring. And that was engaging. And you got to check out all like the beautiful outdoor scenery around there. And then like everything from the ballroom to the big, staircase and doors. So just being clever with how to use video. I wanted to just show you guys really quick too, our setup here. So we've got all sorts of, cameras and angles and lights. And, so there's lots of ways to sort of create what you're trying to accomplish, but I'm just going to go over some of the key trends that we're going to see for the future. So businesses will be forced to embrace the digital transformation, whether you like it or not. That's where we're going. So figuring out which platforms and how to dip your toe into it or how to improve on what's out there. Brands that are focusing on social, environmental, and ethical responsibility will flourish. We're seeing this at all levels, that people are really starting to make more conscious decisions with who they want to give their money. Influencer marketing will solidify its position as a key channel for consumer brands. And then hometown reigns, make it worth their while. It's becoming evident more and more that people want to keep their dollars local and they want to invest in their local businesses. So, they just want you to give them a reason to do so. Anyway, I'm happy to, I hope that was helpful. And I am happy to answer questions or, if anybody wants to email me independently and ask me something specific to their business, I'd be more than happy to, point you in the right direction or answer something more specifically.
So Leslie, if someone's self-managing, how often should they post?
Well, that's a good question. I always say that you need to pick something that is maintainable for you. So ideally, I know that, there are brands out there that post 3 times a day, and there are brands out there that post weekly. But I think if you're a small business and, you're doing it all yourself, that if you can do maybe a dozen posts a month, then you're doing great. And then, so like what I recommend for some of our customers who have sort of smaller digital marketing budgets that we manage for them, but you could easily do this for yourself, is just set aside a couple of hours on one day and plan out your whole month worth of posts. So I'll sit down for a client and go, okay, so I'm going to do this dozen posts, and I'll sit down while I'm sort of in that mode and kind of plan them all out. You can schedule posts on Facebook for Facebook and Instagram and schedule them ahead. So you can go, all right, I'm going to do, an array of days and times. So it's not always Saturday at 3 p.m. You can do, Monday afternoon, Wednesday morning, and scatter them. And then I go in and do, a timely post as it arises. So you could have kind of your core dozen planned out. And then let's say there's like a huge amount of snow, or for you, let's say you, added a new, course, or there was something, let's say campus hours were changing, or, last day to get your stuff into registrar, or something arose that was very timely that you hadn't planned out for the month ahead. You would then intermittently post those things that day. But it can become cumbersome if like every day or every other day, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do a post. Today I have to stop what I'm doing, my normal work, and step away. So I highly recommend, regardless, picking something that's manageable for you and then setting aside one time a month to plan all of your general social. So, a dozen is a good starting point to start a dialogue if I had to pick a number.
Thank you.
Leslie, I have a question. So I have a lot of content from previous years from events and groups gathered together. And it feels weird to be posting photos of people gathered together without masks on. Just curious what your thoughts are on the perception of that, and if I should call out, this is an old event, pre-pandemic days or something in my copy so that people know it didn't happen this year.
Yeah, I do think that you should. I think back to that whole tone of trying to be, ethically and socially aware, kind of like that one bit in the Guinness video where they showed the parade, but they said, don't worry, we will march again. So, you could say, make a joke, not a joke about it, but a reference to it, like, hey, remember when we could, when we could still do this? Or let's say you were referring to the marathon as an example. I mean, you could post something from the marathon and say, what are you doing during the pandemic to stay in shape in case we can have the Steamboat Marathon next summer? And you can be posting a photo of last year's marathon, but then engage with people and invite them to share, like, oh, I run on the treadmill, or I, am running outside, or, create a hashtag like prepping for Steamboat Marathon or something.
That's a good idea.
Just get them ways to engage, but yes, definitely acknowledge that it may or may not happen, but just, ways that they're preparing if it does. But yes, I would absolutely say this happened in the past, just so people recognize that you're sensitive.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Cool. Well, thank you everybody for coming. And Leslie at hive180.com. And I'm always just even happy to chat or answer questions, or, even if you are just trying to do it internally for yourself and you're not looking to hire us for our services, I'm always still happy to get to know people and answer questions. Hi, Lou. And so please don't hesitate to reach out if I can give you any advice or point you in the right direction.
Thank you, Leslie. On behalf of Vic and I, we really appreciate you taking the time. Have a great holiday season, everybody. Take care, be safe, and we'll see you on the other side.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Merry Christmas, everyone.